you can be the most established seller on eBay, but if a buyer comes to your store and they don't feel like your store demands that, like, deserves that price, you are not going to get that price. There are many people with valuable items who don't know how to take photos of their valuable items, who don't know how to make the items pop. They don't know how to describe the item in such a way that it gives confidence. Those listings never ever see their true market value. So that has nothing to do with track record. That has nothing to do with how long you've been selling on eBay for, how long you've been a seller, full stop. There's a saying, right? You can either be someone who is a 20-year first year employee, or you can be a first year 20-year employee. And that thing about how when you go to a job, sometimes you meet people who are new, but they just feel like they have such a wealth of experience and knowledge already and wisdom, like they just know how to handle themselves. That's that first year 20-year worker. And then you go to work, sometimes there's someone who's been there for like 20 years, but I swear they're as useless as a first year worker. They're lazy, they're entitled, they make silly mistakes, they ask dumb questions, they're inconsiderate. So really, that's what we're talking about here. So as long as you're leveling up along the way and the experience equates to that, then you should. If in terms of taking good photos, there is the in terms of photos, right? Because you guys know how much I love taking photos of the toys that I sell and making them pop. I've never fallen in love with anybody's photos, but if I were to have a crush on somebody in terms of just their photos, it would be Savvy Collective that I came across only like last week on Instagram. And I think she's like one of the Ballarat people with like Jada and them. Like her photos really pop. Like if you go to Instagram and you see the vintage stuff that she sells, all those photos are like I'm just scrolling like, wow. Because that's the effect that I want. Like I don't know anything about vintage. I just assumed everything I saw was expensive. That's what you want. So if you want to be able to be a boutique store and charge that kind of premium, photos, man, like you want people to not even question that it should be cheaper. You want people to go, everything here looks expensive. It should be expensive. All the shiny bits look even shinier. All the texture. Sarah, there you go. She is a freelance product photographer. Yeah, let's go. Sarah takes beautiful pictures. See? Yeah. So I found myself just like scrolling through her feed, right? And when I was doing that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is somebody who has made me do what I make my buyers do. Because I've had my car shop, all my buyers have told me things like, one guy even said, I'm in bed, I'm naked, I'm scrolling through your photos because they're so damn good. I've had people ask me, what camera do you use? What's your setup like? And I just go, in a basement, 2 tube lights, just take photos on angles if you want to see. Angles. So there's lighting, there's balanced lighting so that your phone knows what to do with it. Because if you give your phone bright lighting but it's not balanced, your phone can't decide. The software can't decide what to do with it. And you end up with like really sharp shadows in some shots, but then you end up with like off colors in other shots. The processing is best when the lighting is balanced. So you guys have seen my setup. It's like warm tube lights that are kind of off center because that's my mistake from the start. But even then, the shadows are quite mild because of the angles that I choose to take my photos at. And then so because the lighting is still soft and balanced, the phone does the rest. And then after that, the angle of the shot to show the item the way the buyer likes to see the item. So you can imagine, if I want to buy a MacBook, I want to see the MacBook straight on because that's the view that I like looking at it. Some people sell computers like this, take a photo like that of the computer. Nobody looks at a computer that way. It doesn't make it look sexy. If you think about bottles of perfume, straight on. If you take a photo like this, nobody looks at the top of a bottle cap on a bottle of perfume. So lighting and angles, if you fix just those two things alone with the buyer in mind, balance, buyer in mind, your photos should technically already pop. Then it's about whether the background is neutral enough to not be a distraction. So if you think about some people, they'll take a photo on a piece of fabric, but the fabric isn't ironed or it's crinkled and there's little bits of detail that's just distracting. That doesn't work. You think of people who take photos on like a curved white sheet, but the problem with the curved white sheet is because the lighting isn't sorted, you see the curve, and the curve is bloody distracting because it's this kind of like shadowy thing that your eyes have to kind of figure out. So the item should be in focus at angles that the buyers want to see with balanced lighting. Those three things. I think if you can figure those three things out, you can be pretty confident to ask for boutique price as opposed to cutting your price, like doing your products a disservice pricing wise.